In 1986, the township of Delta, British Columbia saw its most frightening glimpse of a cold and disturbing reality. Ordinary citizens began to go missing, and it would not be until 4 years later that they'd turn up, dead. The killer was found and convicted. Andy Chalmers was sentenced to death, but he would live on through his dark legacy as the Delta Pickler.
Andy was never a problem child, but he did have a lot of problems in class. The kids always teased him for coming from a poor fishing family. They had some fairly creative names for Andy Chalmers. Andy Chummer, Kipperlips, Andy Chovy, Cod Sucker. Andy often had lunch in the principal's office to escape his peers. I never wanted to go in there because it smelled like whatever he had for lunch that day, like smoked salmon and tuna, pickled herring.
Yeah, I seen them out in the water there, on their boat. Always fishing. Now, I'm not saying that Mr. Chalmers is a bad fisherman, but he was right stupid to go fishing in that river. Nothing but sewage and current in that river. Yeah, they'd be out there all day, caught in the currents, caught in them, their boat. They'd always be spinning and a whirling. You know, I think that's what did it. Drove the boy insane, all the spinning. Their boat spinning, whirling.
I met with Andy when he was 24 years old. He was a very, very troubled young man. But truth be told, he isn't even the reason that I met with him. It was his father. You see, Mr. Chalmers' wife ran off with a Rastafarian man whom she had been seeing for several years. And the thing about them is that they do not eat fish that is anywhere over 12 inches long, and unfortunately for Mr. Chalmers, he was quite a good fisherman, and nothing he caught was under 12 inches long.
See, what I hear is that boy's mother, Mr. Chalmers' wife, she ran off with one of them Rastamazoos, and don't know where she ended up, but it was just the boy and the father after that. And I seen them every day out on that river, spinning, whirling.
So judging from what happened to Mr. Chalmers, I thought that would definitely affect Andy as well. So I wanted to meet with him, and I wanted to speak with Andy, and I wanted to find out how he felt about all that was happening around him. There was a small ray of hope in this young man's life, and it was a girl. Her name was Chantal. She was very beautiful, and Andy was very attracted to this lady. This lady was a daughter, I believe, of one of Mr. Chalmers' fishing friends. But unfortunately for Andy, he handled the relationship in a very backwards-ass way. He, instead of, let's say, giving the lady chocolates or flowers, he came to her house with a jar of pickled trout, and after that it was over. And when I thought we were finally making progress, something happened. As he spun farther and farther into madness, he did something only a crazy person would do. He went nuts. That, coupled with his insanity, made him completely bonkers. After Chantal, Andy ran away. He was gone. She went on with her life. And then the murders. I didn't see Andy until he was caught. I saw him in a newspaper once. Then they executed him. And he told me that him and his father had a shed, and in that shed they kept barrels of pickled brine, pickle juice that they used to soak the fish to make pickled herring and other pickled fish goods. It was those barrels in which the murder victims were found. So the connection to Andy Chalmers was absolute. He was the murderer. He was the Delta Pickler.
When I heard that Andy was that murderer, I thought to myself, no, as long as he was at the school, I never thought he'd amount to anything.
Andy was my biggest failure, and I will never forget him.
Never think a fisherman would go crazy.
Boggles the mind.